Hi everyone, I'm Abdurrahman Ali. Welcome back to my channel, and today I'll be taking you through an interesting topic called business ethics and corporate governance. Let's look the content first. I have chapterized this presentation into three sections, namely section A, B, and C. So section A, I'm gonna take you through the fundamentals of ethics, the importance of business ethics, and how ethics will contribute to the organization's success with real-time examples. So section B will be corporate governance. What is corporate governance? The importance of corporate governance to the organization and issues and drawbacks in absence of a corporate governance. Section C will be mainly focusing on how leadership influences the ethics and corporate governance, and I will be concluding with references. Let's move into section A, fundamentals of ethics. So what is ethics? Every human being should go through a process where he makes decisions in life. Knowingly or subconsciously, we all approach through our moral values when making decisions. These decisions might vary from one person to another. The choices and the influences that you get through in your life. The fundamental factors such as your family, religion, community, all plays a role when you make a decision to your viewpoints. However, we believe that education and the maturity and growth level of a human being might change these factors gradually. Simply, we can say that ethics are beliefs and values about making decisions on what's right and wrong, to good to bad, by individuals and organizations. So let's move forward and understand more about ethics. For some of you, it might sound like a law. Is ethics really a law? Let me differentiate you. What is ethics and what is law? Law is a systematic body of rules that governs the entire society. Whereas, as we discussed before, ethics are moral conducts and philosophies that guides about basic human conduct. So, law is legally abided, whereas your free choice is a personal abide. So, where does really this ethic stands? It's a good mixture of law and free choice. So, I would like to put it in as a socially abided fact. However, according to Paris 2017, he emphasizes saying if you are ethical, you can abide by the law, and if you are moral, you can be ethical. However, if you are moral, you also can be abide by the law, but you can never be all three together. Next, in this slide, I'll take you through the comparison analysis between ethics and law. Here are some facts. What is ethics? As we discussed, ethics are philosophies and guidelines, whereas laws are strict rules and regulations established mainly by the nation or the governments. Who are the governing bodies behind it? Ethics does not have a governing body, whereas you yourself take your own decision and responsible for it, whereas law has the authority behind it. So how ethics are formed? Ethics are moral codes that generates within a person his viewpoints, whereas laws are made strictly through guidelines and principles behind it. Violations of ethics does not be punished, whereas violating the law you will be punished. Where it is available and expressed, ethics are just an abstract, whereas law is written formally and available publicly. So legality behind it, its ethics are not legally abided, whereas law is legally abided. Objectives of ethics is solely to identify what is right and what is wrong, and how to act upon a choice, whereas law is created mainly to maintain social peace and to protect the environment. So as we came along, we will be discussing about ethics for individuals. So does business ethics requires for organizations? What is business ethics? Business ethics can be denoted as written or unwritten codes of morals, values, and principles to do the right thing. According to David 2008, he quotes that principles of conduct within organization that guide decision making and behaviors in an organization as business ethics. Business requires moral frameworks on how organization would run to be successful in the market. Importance of business ethics to the organizations. Business ethics plays a pivotal role directly to the success of our organizations. Fundamental business ethics is an essential element to continue successful and strategical management practices in an organization. The importance of business ethics reaches beyond the external environment or the internal environment. In the internal environment, it reaches beyond employees' loyalties and strengthening the management team. Business ethics plays a major role in attributing to the external environmental factors of an organization. As an example, let's go through some of attracts. Business ethics helps to attract new investors to your organization. As an example, investors would be loved in order to pump in their money where a business is doing things ethically. This will help directly in order to create a competitive edge from our rivals. The customer satisfaction and increases the employee satisfaction. Customers would be loved to buy our products and services if we are being ethical. As an example, the environmental decisions going green and employees would be loving to work under us if our leadership management are taking decisions ethically. It reduces the business risk. Thus, reducing business risk will definitely enhance the productivity and profitability in both the short and long term of an organization. So let's deep dive into business ethics and how it contributes to the organization's successes. According to Taylor 2015, ethical decisions in an organization leads to a win-win situation for both business and the third party. So in this slide, I will explain the points with real-time examples which occurred, and it proved that business ethics really matters for an organization. Business ethics creates and helps to set clear objectives to the businesses. As an example, Woolworths gets out of liquor and gambling business in Australia just by getting a complaint from its customers saying that Woolworths did not abide to business ethics which are fundamental of her rights. Thus, Woolworths withdrawing immediately from the liquor and gambling business boosted its shares in the following years, and people really appreciated the act of business ethics which resulted in a heavy and a monthly sales in the following years. Business ethics is a foundation in order to build corporate culture. As an example, Volkswagen's strategy to reduce its workforce without any layoffs from its history. Volkswagen simply did not hire for any retirees. This strategy really boosts the productivity of their current employees, which resulted in a business success. Thus, Volkswagen sets a simple example. Following business ethics will really help the organization to succeed. Next, it enhances employees' satisfaction and increases workforce productivity. Costco decisions to pay higher fair wages than the average resulted on a growth of 7.35% in 2019. Simply, from this we can understand that business ethics really matters and contributes to the organization's successes. The consequence of being unethical and its impact for your businesses. Being unethical will definitely decrease the productivity of employee. There is a positive relationship between ethics and employee performance. As an example, Business Bureau 2020 recent survey held by Ethics Resource Center reveals that there is a 36% of employees who are being distracted and being unhappy due to unethical decisions by the employers. Unethical decisions would lead to high labor turnarounds. Business would face high labor turnovers and would lose key talented employees to their competitors. Business being unethical will underperform really and constrain the budgets. High labor turnover would increase the budget deficits and would constrain the time and ultimately impact the success of business. Thus, according to Corporate 2020, employees are the most valuable assets a company would have. So, being an ethical employer enhances your chances of retaining them and to grow your business successfully. So let's move on to section B, being discussing ethics and business ethics and the importance of business ethics. Here we will discuss mainly on corporate governance, the importance of corporate governance and how corporate governance gives a chance for business for being successful. What is corporate governance? According to George 2003, he says, I quote, corporate governance is the structure of rules, practices, processes used in order to direct and manage a company. Isn't it sounds like business ethics? Let's move forward and identify what is corporate governance really about. According to OECD 2020, the purpose of corporate governance is to help and build an environment of trust, honesty, transferability, fairness, and financial stability and integrity. Thus, these factors will really enhance the strong growth of the organization and builds an inclusive society. Furthermore, corporate governance is a direction and control that dictates how a board of directors governs and oversees a company. An organization board of directors are the primary force influencing corporate governance, and directors are accountable for companies' shareholders. This means that shareholders effectively have a direct say in how a company should have been run. So these are the few principles and attributes that a corporate governance has. Being transparent. The company should be transparent to the public if it is a public PLC. Definitely the finances and the informations of the decisions should be publicly available and transparent. Security, job security, and shareholder security, information securities are such examples. Accountability, the directors should be accountable for shareholders, and all the employees in the organization is accountable for what they do. Thus, building accountability among the corporate governance scenario is very important in order to succeed as an organization. Fairness is one of the most important factors when building culture and treating all the employees equally and having a fair understanding about each other and acknowledging works and improving performances of our employees. Independence level, each person should have the independence, structure, and decision making on their futures. So these corporate governance principles are really effective when it comes to a successful organization. So next, let's move on to discuss the importance of corporate governance to our organization. Corporate governance really ensures that the management of the organization considers the best interest for everyone. It could be shareholders, or the directors, customers, employees, and etc. Corporate governance minimizes wastages, corruption, risks, mismanagements, and it makes companies more resilient. Corporate governance also gives guidance to the owners and the managers about what the goals and the strategies of the company are. Having an effective corporate governance will maintain the confidence of the investors and stakeholders. As a consequence, the company could raise capital efficiently and effectively and it will impact positively towards the prices of shares. Corporate governance enhances and uplifts economic growth with objectives and really maintain a good long-term relationship with customers and employees. Thus, corporate governance plays a major role on successful organizations in the current turbulent business environment. Being discussed the importance of corporate governance, let's move forward to see how an absence of or drawbacks of corporate governance would result in organizations. Poor corporate governance at best leads to a company failing to achieve its stated goals and objectives. However, the worst case scenario would be significant financial losses, which will lead to business bankruptcy and closures. As an example, Volkswagen was rocked by its scandal for emission tests in 2015. It deliberately and systematically rigged engine emissions equipment in its cars in order to manipulate pollution test results in US and Europe. This saw a downfall of market shares by 4.5% immediately in 2016. Thus, poorly structured boards make it too difficult for shareholders to remove ineffective incumbents. Companies do not cooperate sufficiently with auditors or do select auditors in an appropriate scale would result in misleading financial results and non-compliance financial documents to shareholders and the public. So let's move into our final section, which we will focus on leadership and corporate governance and how corporate governance and ethics plays a role in leadership. So here we will be mainly focusing on corporate governance and its effectivity for leadership, how ethics is playing a role in leaders' minds in an organization. So organizations could be judged solely based on their decision makers. Investors would be looking into whom the directors of the companies are, whom the chief financial officer of the companies are, who is the CEO of the company before investing their money. So obviously customers look in different angles. So every time when there is a decision made, leadership matters when building ethics and corporate governance around it. So successful organizations are driven through ethical leadership processes. Ethics and corporate governance are key aspects of quality leadership, which will ensure the success of an organization. So why does it matter? Let me get you through some points and examples how leadership really matters. Leadership matters in order to lead other employees by setting an example from front. It easily gets the job done when you are a really professional leader. It makes other person easy to work with you. Thus, this creates the productivity of an employee to grow fast and gets the job done without any hesitation. So he will build a clear vision and a whistleblowing structure, and there will be less bureaucracies among employee conflicts, as well as there will be no staff unions and other distractions. Thus, leadership plays a critical role when in terms of playing around ethics and corporate governance in an organization. So with that, I would like to conclude my presentation by summarizing the whole aspects and knowledge that we learn about ethics and corporate governance simply by saying ethics are the first line of defense against corruption, while law enforcement is remedial and reactive. An effective ethics program requires continual reinforcement of strong values in a business. Where, however, good corporate governance goes beyond rules and regulations, and good corporate governance practices cannot guarantee any corporate failure, though absence of corporate governance standards will definitely lead to a questionable practice and corporate failures among the shareholders and stakeholders. So, I hope this presentation added you some value and knowledge about ethics, corporate business and corporate governance, and how leadership mattered in terms of a successful organization. Thank you. So these are the list of references I have used today in order to present to you. in this video, and hope you guys enjoyed it. And let's meet up in an informative session once again. Thank you.